how can retailers optimize last mile delivery? The topic of my conversation today with Paul Greifenberger. He is President Americas with FarEye. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with me today. So in your opinion, why, for that matter, should retailers even bother to prioritize the optimization of last mile delivery?
Yeah. When you think about what's at stake today, it's never been more important. Why is that? The doorstep is the new retail store, right? It's that customer experience that retailers have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in, arguably billions, to build their brand and build their in-store experience has been transported to your front doorstep. So it's a part of protecting the brand image. It's a part of improving the brand image. We know that when a customer is dissatisfied with their service, up to 70% consider never using that retailer or e-commerce provider again.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to advertise their refusal to do so on social media, so you're going to know about it everywhere.
We all know the old axiom, just one bad experience will be shared with at least 10 people.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so maybe you could sum up for me, like, what are, say, the top 3 factors that impact last mile delivery performance the most?
Yeah, well, let's start with what we're striving for. I would suggest that the most important things to the customer are speed and the control over their customer experience. Mm-hmm. And then we can add in, of course, from the shipper perspective, managing cost. So those are the goals. Where does the complexity come in? First, it starts with process. So your last mile delivery process isn't necessarily going to stay exactly the same. As you shift from 2-day to 1-day to same day as an objective to help drive business through your offerings, we can't just take processes and make them spin faster. We do have to do so, but we also need to optimize processes and then get inside of a process and apply ML and AI, such as route optimization. So if a driver could historically do 20 stops, now they can do 22. If a customer knew they were going to get their package between 9 and 5 p.m., they can start to shift this to 9 to 12. Or even 9 to 11, close the windows down. These are all examples of how we accomplish speed, reduce cost, and also drive the customer experience.
Mm-hmm. And not only does that window get narrowed, do they not also know, can they monitor the progress of the package as it comes closer to their house? Can they see where it is at any given moment? It's an hour away, it's 20 minutes away, it's down the block. I mean, we are starting to see that to some degree, are we not?
We refer to that as visibility. So from the customer's vantage point, they want to know exactly where the package is, right up to the point it reaches the doorstep. Mm-hmm. They don't want to have to download applications. They want to just be able to click on a link, see where it is, keep it simple. Now for a scheduled delivery, they may even want to provide special instructions. Perhaps they're scheduled for through the door and they've changed their mind due to concerns over health, and they might want to leave it on the doorstep. So the customer not only wants to see, but they want to be able to act on the visibility. That's a big part of the customer empowerment that I referred to earlier.
I see. Okay, well, you mentioned route optimization as one tool by which the deliverer can control costs, because what we are talking about here can be extremely expensive to meet the customer demands. Are there other ways in which technology can step in, or any other type of business process can step in order to help control the cost of what is a very expensive proposition?
Absolutely. So managing cost is critical. And how does one responsibly schedule a new order? I mean, you have to know about inventory availability, you have to know about driver capacity, and ideally you even want to know about recently scheduled routes. Because sometimes the cheapest delivery option can be the highest service level. Mm-hmm. So if the system is aware when a consumer is in a shopping cart that they're already scheduled to be in that particular prospect's neighborhood, they can piggyback and say, hey, your delivery can be here at no charge tomorrow. For big and bulky, where the expectation in some cases can be weeks before the delivery is scheduled and made, that's a phenomenal part of literally closing business and driving revenue in addition to reducing cost. Because the best time became the least expensive time, and the ML and the AI found that opportunity.
Right, right. You know, we talked about the potential negative implications of a service failure on a brand, but of course, excellent performance, the excellent customer experience definitely reflects well on a brand. So how can brands stay in the mix? How can they address complexity and yet still have the brand identity be there and not get swallowed up in a third party or somebody, or like a white truck delivery service where the brand isn't even identified?
Bob, that's an interesting challenge, and one that technology is well suited to meet. I'll give a more of a complex example. So
Okay.
if a retailer is working with ecosystem partners that, let's say, have mixed loads, within the context of that load, the driver has a driver app and they're communicating for the customer experience with the end customer. And each time that there's a communication point or a delivery touch point, we want the shipper's brand to be properly represented.
Right.
So that in a mixed load situation, you may end up representing brand A on delivery 1, brand B on delivery 2. How do you manage that? The driver can't manage it, the dispatcher can't manage it, only technology can manage that. So the idea is to protect and enhance the brand of every shipper by making sure that under any circumstance, it's their brand that's represented regardless of which partner is making the delivery.
Yeah. But to get back to this issue of the complexity of last mile, I mean, how does a brand even begin to evaluate all these options? You're going to use a multi-fulfillment, a micro-fulfillment center, you're going to distribute from a regional kind of a warehouse? Are you going to use gig workers to deliver the stuff? I mean, how do you even start to get your arms around the ultimate decision that works best for that particular brand?
It's a very complicated question, and the complexity there is actually increasing now infinitely as we look at micro-fulfillment and omni-channel objectives. So I would contend that the best way to manage this is to make sure that your last mile technology is highly configurable. Because fundamentally what's happening is those complicated workflows need to, A, be hand in glove for various classes of customers, but then they need to evolve over time very rapidly. If you're hard coding the changes, the workflows can take months before they're instituted. If your technology is configurable, you can take care of these challenges in days or hours or even minutes.
Yeah, it's so dynamic, it's always changing, and I have to be on top of changes. Paul, thank you so much for your insights into just what is going on in terms of retailers' ability to optimize last mile delivery. I want to take a moment to ask you specifically about FarEye. Tell me about you guys today. How are you serving your customers, and where do you fit into the puzzle?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Bob. So FarEye anchors on the last mile. Those are our roots. We've been in business for over 9 years. We're globally scaled. We have over 600 employees. We're going through extremely rapid growth. So where's that growth coming from, and how can we take advantage of the trends in the context of retail? So for example, we talked about the emergence of micro-fulfillment centers and the need for configurability to address it. That right there is absolutely critical. We've seen so much supply chain disruption from last mile all the way through first mile. So connecting last mile, mid mile, and first mile, providing visibility is critical. So while we anchor on the last mile, we basically provide visibility for all inbound legs. This gives us the opportunity to either expedite at the last mile, notify a customer of a change, stay in control. What you can't see, you can't control. So we want to provide control to our customers from the first mile pickup all the way to EPOD on the customer's doorstep. It's a very large footprint. Without configurability, it would be impossible because there's just too many legs and too many challenges that include scans and cross-docks and multiple mid-mile moves, full chain of custody throughout. These are the types of challenges we're hearing for our retailers. And then if I move to perhaps, let's say, quick serve restaurants and grocery, it's really all about speed. So we can save minutes and even seconds by automating dispatch and having the system intelligently understand how well suited a driver is for a particular delivery based on prior performance, as well as consider where's that driver at this point in time, so that the automated dispatcher can pick the right driver for the right delivery and do so in a nanosecond rather than take the minutes to think it through. When the SLA for delivery is 30 minutes, which is common in many of our quick serve restaurants, for example, you just simply put a premium on every second that's saved.
Paul, thank you so much for your time in discussing this critical topic of last mile delivery and retailers. Thanks very much for your time.
Bob, it's been a pleasure. Come back, let's do this again.
Definitely. I've been speaking with Paul Greifenberger of FarEye. Thank you very much for watching.